Тема урока мне задана как от любви к товарищам к любви к Творцу.
The topic of this lesson is from love of friends to love of the Creator. Essentially, love of the Creator, meaning love of the quality of bestowal, is our most important task. It's really our only task. Everything else is just a foundation for its achievement in order to come to it. To love quality of bestowal means to always exist in this quality, to always aspire to it, to this love, to this quality. How is it possible to aspire to the quality of bestowal and love it as just as today we love subconsciously, instinctively, we love to bestow, to feel within ourselves? I always feel something that I'm missing. Look at how you're sitting. It's always the most optimal pose that you're taking out of all the poses that you have. You always choose the maximum pleasure with minimum effort. This is how we're programmed, and our entire, all of our cells are programmed to work the exact same way. How can we reach the same state, only the opposite? For the quality of bestowal to give us that same pleasure, for us to always automatically choose, how do I bestow to the best of my ability, to please to the best of my ability? This is possible only if I really love someone, and I'm always fixated on fulfilling this person as much as possible, just as a mother with a baby. Mother holds her baby and is always thinking, what else is he missing? What else can I give him? You see from the side how she's always watching him and exists in him. How can we be in this aspiration for the quality of bestowal and love on a constant basis? No matter how much we convince ourselves that it's really us, that it's our soul, only it's depicted to me in such a way as people who exist around me. I honestly don't perceive them as such. I don't perceive them as something that's truly a part of me, that I need. People who are essential to me. And the quality of bestowal is something else entirely. It's something very obscure and ambiguous. And in Kabbalah, it is explained to us that the quality of bestowal is immaterial. It cannot be felt, it can be sensed, but only in a host. And who's the host? We are. So how can this be expressed? How do I start to feel that by bestowing to someone else, I receive pleasure? And the pleasure that I receive is the greatest possible pleasure. And every time I bestow something, I am fulfilled in return. If this is how we would feel in bestowal automatically, inherently, then we would bestow, obviously, but then our bestowal would be for the sake of reception. It would have been the ego in disguise, and we wouldn't feel anything different. We would never exit ourselves. People give up a lot in life in order to receive pleasure. We're always earning so that we could then trade our labor, our efforts for some kind of pleasure, some kind of fulfillment or convenience. How do we rise above and make bestowal not egoistic? When the action itself is in others, and the pleasure is felt in others, and not in me, in my ego, in my desires. When I simply relocate into others, is this even possible? No, it's impossible. with our nature, we cannot achieve anything. To this end, what we need is an inclusion or engagement of this upper quality of bestowal which exists outside of us. It's separated from the ego. It's this upper force which we call the creator, for this force to help us detach from ourselves and begin to sense the action and the result and the fulfillment from the action. Everything would be felt outside of me, and I am left with only my very initial rishimot, point in the heart, but my ego is not fulfilled. It remains empty. That same prohibition of the first restriction remains in effect, that egoistic desires are not fulfilled. In other words, I need to completely reject feeling pleasure within myself and transfer this sensation of pleasure into others, for them to become mine. I don't want to delve into this too deeply because it scares people. Person begins to understand how far this is from him, and it weakens him. In order for us to achieve this quality, equality of form with the Creator, equivalence of form, to achieve this complete, perfect quality of bestowal without any sort of calculation for oneself, we are given the group for this purpose. And we in the group need to discuss it, to sense it, to feel it, to grasp it, to experiment with all the options that we have, to come to realize that we are unable, we're incapable of doing it, and still to keep trying to bite into one another and hold on to each other. I can't stand these mugs anymore, but they may even be, I may think they're the ugliest that I've ever seen, but still, in spite of it all, to the extent that I want to bestow to them and feel my joy in them, my result in them, and only in them, to that extent I will hate them even more and more. I will feel how opposite this is from my ego, to work for another and for him to always be the winner, and for me to be fulfilled and to feel the pleasure from him being the winner, and tearing more and more away from my own ego, and feeling that it's my responsibility, that I have to feel my joy, my fulfillment in him. Everything is done for his sake. This is impossible to be done by one person. I need a very vivid example from my friends who show that they're doing the same thing. We were all in this active attack against oneself, against the ego, and we see this as the result of our actions for the sake of bestowal. The point of our work, the focus of our attention, is precisely in where do I sense, in whom do I sense my pleasure, within myself or within someone else, within a friend. Do I enter a friend and do I act to feel, to evoke pleasure in him, and do I feel his pleasure and feel joy from him feeling pleasure and being fulfilled by that? Am I trying to do that at all times under total control? If a person is always in this work of complete control, self-control, and inner attention towards the friends, that I want to feel pleasure and joy in them, my joy comes from the sensation that they're fulfilled and they're happy, and that I made this happen in them. I'm proud that I gave them this fulfillment, that they are the result of my intention and of my labor. I can be proud of that because this is the quality of bestowal. I can be joyous because this is an action of bestowal, and I can be happy and joyous that I live in them. If I concentrate my work thus, and I'm always exiting myself, I'm always entering them, I'm always moving, relocating myself into them, and I feel joy that my own egoistic desire remains empty, and this entire desire is then transferred into them. That is what is meant by creating an external kli, or choser, the reflected light. As a result, I begin to reveal in them the quality of bestowal, which I am actually creating myself. In so doing, I create the Creator. This is what it's written, that we create Him, we make Him, build Him. We reveal this general quality in our efforts in others, with our efforts in others. And then, when I gradually transfer my ego from from within into others, and I empty my ego, and in so doing I finish the measure called Si'ah, which is the ancient measure, Si'ah. When I finish this transfer from everything that I thought I would receive pleasure in to fulfilling them with pleasure, and I am pleased with this, as it is written, so that your heart would be overjoyed in Him. When I finish this, I begin to sense the first spiritual degree in whom, in their desires, and this quality of bestowal that was finished in the Sa'ah, that I had transferred over. That is when I feel this quality of bestowal, integral, that was put together out of all of my efforts. It's 10 attempts, 10 efforts. We can't really calculate them, measure them yet, but essentially they break down into 10 of all of my efforts. And then you begin to feel this general quality of bestowal that you have triggered yourself, but it becomes integrated in everyone, and it becomes this shared mutual quality. And in this quality you begin to feel its independent existence, and that's what we call the Creator. This quality has existed from the very beginning, all along. In it, you finally begin to understand that that is what has created you and created all of the ego that is within you, so that by putting it together, by transferring yourself into others, you would discover your own spiritual kli in others, and your ego would be left empty, restricted in the first restriction. And this quality is what we call the Creator. That is why it is written, from love of friends to love of the Creator. This is essentially the entire method. There is nothing else. Only this one action in transferring yourself into your friends, in discovering in that you have transferred a general quality of bestowal or the Creator. But in this you discover, you reveal a new dimension, a new world, the upper world, which exists on the quality of bestowal, and therefore unchanging, constantly developing, eternal and infinite, and you feel yourself in it. If this were the end, we would have already remained in this infinite state, and we would have felt ourselves existing already separate from the body, because the body is empty. By body we mean our desire, because that is the desire. We essentially don't associate ourselves with anything other than our desires. That is why people who are fully empty in this world, they commit suicide, because they don't feel like they exist any longer. But essentially this is just a small tiny part of our ego. The desire of this external force, the Creator, the quality of bestowal, in order for us to reveal it, to attain it fully, for this reason we're always added a new ego, a new kind of ego, a completely different type of ego, no longer the corporal type of ego, but a spiritual ego, which we call the klipa. And in it we begin to feel spiritual disturbances, real, serious spiritual disturbances. And from it we begin to feel the negative spiritual world egoistically. And likewise, we'll need to work above it with my friends. But now, once within them, I am reminded, and I forget once again that it's in them that I actualize myself, according to the same principle as as on the first degree. But my desires are more egoistic. I begin to see them as deeper. I see myself as deeper, more negative or more positive. The struggle becomes qualitatively different, but I still need to act in the same way, but according to the same principle. I need to transfer myself into the friends, to feel myself in them, to feel the joy in them, to fully shut myself off from any consequences of my good actions, and always be in them, invest in them. And the sensation that this is my soul, that I have acquired by reaching the first degree, it goes away. And again, I'm left with feeling, what the hell? Why should I do anything? This isn't my soul. These mugs that I see before me, I don't know who these people are. I don't like them. I hate them. At first, at the first degree, I was either indifferent towards them, or maybe I didn't like them a little bit. But now I don't see them as such anymore. I don't like them. I reject them. Everything they say, every word they say is a lie. Every action they make is false, is a sham. Everything that they do is some kind of sham theater. So we have very strong, very serious disturbances that appear, and they're very deep, and they're very genuine, and very justified, very reasonable in my rational thinking. And here, of course, the work becomes much more difficult than on a first degree, which at this point looks like kindergarten. No, it's like we play together in the sandbox.
And here I already see them all the way through. Their lies, their self-confidence, their whole ego I see. And against that, I have to, on the face of all that, to ascend, to find some abilities, to act for their sake, to sense joy from doing things for them, from their succeeding in something, that they're happy, that they're joyful, and to see my success to the degree to which they are fulfilled. The most important thing that remains for me is for them to become fulfilled. If, on the initial degree, I was happy with me fulfilling them, and I had a degree with them, I had a relation with them, then all this goes away, and the only thing I start caring about is how to fulfill them through different actions, maybe not directly. What stops being important is my own fulfillment, and only their fulfillment remains. So suddenly it seems that they look at me kind of strangely, that they don't want to be connected to me, that they see me egoistically, but I don't even care about that. I just care about them being happy. So can you imagine how many obstacles are here? And on me and on them, and everything is with respect to me, of course. A person is given. The Creator does this so masterfully. If a person can close his eyes really tight, to shut his eyes, and to not look into his heart, into his egoism and his reason, and still act just like an idiot, then he wins. This is faith above reason. I accept your game, he must say to the Creator. So you're playing with me. I accept this game. I'm playing it. It's me versus you. So who's against me? The Creator. Or my egoism. It's the same thing. There's none else besides him. He is the only one playing with me and, throwing these nasty things my way. But I, once again, the same point has to be my determination of where am I being fulfilled, in others or in myself. And so we gradually, by working with the friends in the group, discover in this work the Creator. If I'll continue onward, then I'll basically repeat myself, because we don't have a lot of words to use, even though they're qualitatively different, and there's just a plethora of feelings that are revealed here that we don't have in our world, and our lexicon can't convey. Just imagine we undergo 125 steps. This is an infinite amount of tiny states, and each state is a different feeling, but they're expressed by one word. Let's say joy, disappointment,
Злость, обида, зависть.
wrath,
Мы наберем таких пару десятков.
depression, envy.
Они одинаковые. Самый маленький
And so they're all different, but from the smallest to the highest step.
они все это градуируют. Цифра,
So Kabbalists graduate all of these by numbers,
толщина эгоизма,
by aviyut, the thickness of the ego, height
степеней постижения.
of the steps of attainment,
Таким образом, они понимают, о чем
and so on. They know what they're talking about. So if I name a coordinate, then I know what he's talking about, because he creates it inside of himself.
так же, как музыкант
He snapped his fingers and he found it. It's like one musician tells another that we're starting in such a key, then immediately he hears that note and we can start from there. We don't really have that. But they can hear it, and they understand what they're talking about, the mutual topic. And Kabbalists are the same way, so I hope that we, with you in our words, will also be able to use Kabbalistic terms, and in this way convey to one another, and to sense simultaneously, and in our sensations to unite together. And from this unity, in our world, there is no such thing. It seems to us that we unite in our feelings, but really we don't enter one another because we don't have the quality of bestowal. We just adequately, more or less, since we're created as similar animals, we sense more or less similarly. But we still can't compare and, moreover, connect in our sensations. When we connect in the quality of bestowal, there occurs a wonderful phenomena. We don't feel it in ourselves, but in our mutual unity. That's where that symphony plays. It's one for everyone, and connecting to it, we sense the sensation of everyone. Although, at the same time, everyone from himself. We can't really understand this right now, this duality of spiritual perception, but this is how it is. So, why did I talk about this? Because without the group, it's impossible to realize a single spiritual motion. The group doesn't mean that we're just sitting or being together. A group is one that realizes, well, what I wanted to show you now. And therefore, Kabbalists spend so much time and energy and attention, they dedicate it to the formation of the group. Rabash writes, love for the other can only happen by lowering of oneself. On one hand, you have to lower yourself, and on the other hand, you have to be proud that you were given an opportunity from the Creator to unite in the group where each of us has one single goal, so that the Shekhinah would sojourn among us. The Shekhinah is a quality of bestowal, and it connects and fulfills and occupies all the space between us. It turns out that egoism is behind each of us, behind our backs, but before us, ahead of us, there are the mutual qualities of bestowal, which all unite in a circle, and in there we sense the common quality of bestowal. So nature, in its higher, upper, most internal force, the quality of bestowal. So the society must consist of individuals with the same notion that this common quality of bestowal must be attained. And then from the individuals, there's created a single force able to fight with itself, because in each, the rest are included. All are included. And thus, each is based on a great desire and can attain the goal. These are just amazing qualities that are revealed in unity. You receive the desires of others, but this is only when you desire to be in them. Like in a beloved person, we live their desires. Their desires command our desires. They determine them. And then you have a dual desire. I get a strong ability to advance. And so when I gather with my other 10 friends, and each enters the other with their desire, then I don't receive from the other 9 in the 10, their desire, but rather the sum that each has gathered from the other 9 in himself. You understand what an amplification occurs here of my personal desire? So this is 9, and in each of them they also have 9. But this isn't qualitatively, but it's not quantitative, but it's qualitative. It's different in quality. In Kabbalah, we don't express quantity at all. You can't measure quantity. It's not measurable in spirituality, although we measure it more or less, like thickness of a desire, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. But it's not quantity, it's quality. Because every time the jump is like from inanimate to vegetative, vegetative to animal, we jump from step to step, like to the next level of development, of qualitative development. Like you can't compare a plant to a rock. It's a different method and sensation of existence. So as soon as we connect together in the group, we immediately begin to feel the world transparent, and the quality of bestowal that fills it that determines everything, and its egoism feels itself as toying around in the quality of bestowal, and I have to apply a small effort in somebody else to feel my desires, and not more than that. And that is perhaps what I wanted to say. As a quality of what I wrote. Well, that was a lot of material, but it's for sort of diluting. This material here will only dilute what we just heard. Well, from here, naturally we can observe that all of our laws of the group, as we should unite and into a common group or a virtual group, as we should be connected among one another and gather together, everything comes from here. The most important thing is for everything to be aimed at the observation of these laws, so that each would have the maximal opportunity to quickly, easily exit from themselves and relocate into others from his point in the heart. But his ego isn't to leave somewhere in the back, to forget about it, to forget about themselves. Well, I guess that's about it.